Greetings of peace and love, my people. It's Anna Renee, your love power goddess, and I am back with another breakdown of the gods of the tree of life according to the Kemetic African system of integration and cultivation of self. And so, my people, really enjoyed doing that last breakdown of the god Geb, god of the earth realm, of the spirit of the black man. And when I say man, I mean men and women, human. And so now I'm on Auset, another beautiful energy of Sphere 9, okay, realm 9 of the tree of life. Okay, my people, so this one is going to have a lot more information in it, as I was talking about. But before I dive into this and try to get it all in, it's going to be another long video. The last one was almost an hour long. This one is going to be longer than that, probably. But before I go into all of that, let me bless each and every one of you and thank you all for watching this You Are Leaders channel. The reason you are watching is because you are leaders, and as a leader you must be fed. Maybe you are the leader of tens, hundreds, thousands, or millions, but of course you know the most important leader to be is the leader of one, your own self. And so as a self-led person, you are always seeking the information that helps you to develop yourself. You always want to be in a mode of self-development, okay, on all levels, on the spiritual, the physical, and all levels. So part of your development is learning, and that is why you are here. It's not by coincidence or accident that you have landed on the You Are Leaders channel. And let me please thank you once again for being here. Make sure, if you haven't already, to like, share, and subscribe, because what we are trying to do here in this series and on my channel period is to elevate. We know there are tons of things going on out there that would help us to go down in our spirits. So rather than fighting against those things that are trying to force us down, let us just stand up and do what it is we have to do in order so that we can stand, okay? Use that energy to stand, not to complain about being knocked down. Alright, so that's why you're here. And I thank you once again. Make sure, like I just said, like, share, and subscribe. Please subscribe, because I'm going to be doing this entire series. It goes from 10 up until 0. That's 11 realms of the tree of life, according to the ancient African Kemetic system of cultural development. Okay, spiritual development is what I should say. Spiritual development. There is a lot to who it is that we are as humans, okay, spiritually speaking. And I know there are a lot of us who are searching for that empty hole in your heart. And this right here is something that was brought forth by our Shechem, Ra-Nefer Amen, who put forth this information for us, brought it all to the forefront from the Akashic records, for those of us who know what that is, from the spirit realm, okay? Reintroduce this information, this powerful information to us. And so let me get into it, alright? That's long enough to talk about an introduction. Alright, my people. Now, I'm drinking my tea right here. This is the book from which I will be reading, okay? And it breaks down the spiritual tree of life, okay? Many people have spoken about spiritual cultivation. There is the Kabbalistic system and their understanding of the tree of life, but we all know, well, maybe we all don't know, but I'm going to say it. Of course, it's African in its origins and black, going back to the Dravidians and all of those ancient black people who brought forth this information over a series of centuries of gaining knowledge and information, okay? And so the tree of life, meditation system, and oracle as well, because that's what this is, the divination cards for the oracle of Tehuti, which is what the book says on the cover. This is volume 1 of probably about 7 volumes, in addition to a lot of other books that he has. In fact, let me grab one over here. One other book that he has that I managed to get my hands on. Min-Ab, okay? You see that scale? You see that heart on one side and the feather on the other? That's one other book. Maybe I should show it a little longer so you guys can actually see it. And this is called the Comedic Behavioral Transcendence Meditation. Meditation is where the entire thing rests. It is the foundation of it all, okay? And so, back to this book and working from the card of the goddess Auset, okay? The goddess Auset. Sphere 9 of the tree of life according to the ancient Kemetic way, okay? Now look at her. Is she gorgeous or what? She's a representation of the mother. Okay, you see she's breastfeeding a king right there, baby king. Okay, she is the mother. She is the energy of the moon. As you see the moon in the upper right hand corner of the card. Number 9 on the tree of life. Okay, she's that feminine, sacred feminine. Okay, and so let us find out what it all means, what this aspect of our spirit and these gods, okay, from 10 all the way up to 1, they're all gods, and they are representations of the spirit of man, the spirit of human beings, okay, our spirits, okay. There are 10 levels to our spirits. This is information especially for us who are in the West, in a westernized places. This is a kind of breakdown of the human psychology and spirit that we have no idea about. And we wonder why we don't understand ourselves. Why do we do stuff that we don't understand, we don't want to do, we do. Okay? Because we don't understand self. We have no knowledge of self in terms of this. In terms of the spirit, the levels of the spirit of man. Okay, so let's get into it, my people. Woo, it is a hot night here in the O, and yeah, my people, it is 7 minutes to 8 p.m. in the evening, Sunday. A perfect time to talk about these things. Okay, so let's get to it here. I've been chattering long enough. Okay, the first section that I'm going to be working from is the naming of the deities, okay, and I've already done Geb, so make sure you check that video out, and I will link it to this particular video, which was Sphere 10, Realm 10 of the Tree of Life. The deities of the Metu Neter. Okay, that's what we're starting with. And so right now I am with and doing Auset, as I have just said. So let's read what our Shechem brother, Baba, Master Ra'un Nefer Amen has written about Auset. And he's very, 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 very deep. he's a brain, okay? He's one of those kind of people. And as I read this, it might be a little difficult to grasp. I'll try to break it down. Oh my goodness, I've been struggling with this myself for years, decades even. So let's get with it here. Auset. The goddess Auset is the embodiment of those intuitive and instinctive faculties that lay deep within our psyche, governing our ability to care for and nurture others. That feminine energy. People in whom this faculty is strongly developed are very protective, caring, and nurturing. And see, this is where the fierceness comes into play for a woman. It's not wrong for a woman to be fierce. We think about the lioness and the protection of her cubs, or any mother protecting her children. Same thing goes for humans, okay? And this is something that in our culture has always been highly prized, okay? That kind of a spirit within a woman. Okay, and even there's a goddess that speaks to that. The goddess Auset. Okay, these qualities amongst the Comitian and other Africans were most desirable in mothers and wives, okay? Not all women, not daughters, but mothers and wives, okay? In traditional African culture, social role models are based on organic laws, okay? Laws that cover all, okay? Not specific, but holistic, let's say that. Holistic laws that take in and integrate all aspects of man's being. Integrate all aspects of man's being, okay? We understood this back in our time, okay? These days, we have patriarchy that forces men to only take in a very narrow aspect, the Martian aspect of their beings, the fight aspect, but disregarding all the other aspects. But anyway, it is an let me get this, okay? Ooh, you know what, my people? Let me get my glasses. Let's do this right. Hold on, my people. I'm not going to be stuttering today, okay? Get these glasses on point here. I'm going to see what I'm talking about here. Okay, in traditional African culture, social role models are based on organic, quote-unquote, laws that take in and integrate all aspects of man's being. Man being human, all, women and men. It is an indisputable fact that women as a whole have a lower metabolic rate and a higher parasympathetic rate or output than men. Now that's that science right there. I'll break it down some other point in time. Maybe you guys can look up parasympathetic and understand. He's going to give somewhat of a definition here, or at least a breakdown of what it means. Among many functions, the parasympathetic nervous system governs reproduction, gestation, and the trance states. That right there is a very important thing. Keep that in mind. The trance states, okay? These are the principles upon which women's roles in traditional African culture are defined. Traditional, okay? Traditional. Activities that overstimulate the sympathetic, the military, hunting, those requiring psychic aggressiveness, or diminish the capacity of the parasympathetic. So let me say that again. The activities that overstimulate the sympathetic, or those activities that diminish the capacity of the parasympathetic, okay, functions, were discouraged in women. In other words, activities that overstimulated that aggressive military masculine hunting psychic aggressiveness in women, okay, that overstimulated, okay, he didn't say not at all, but to overstimulate it, or diminish, okay, diminish the capacity of the parasympathetic functions were discouraged, okay. And as we just said, the parasympathetic nervous system governs reproduction, gestation, and the trance states, okay. That's why we see that women can go into trance much faster. In trance, you see that very powerful Africanism, okay, because African people have always been very in tune to that. You see that in the Western world, you see that in the black church, where you see women falling out, for lack of a better word, okay, getting hit by the Holy Ghost, okay. That right there, my people, is an Africanism, okay. A lot of people who bash the black church, which I can't stand, even though I was one who was close to being a basher myself for a certain reason. Okay, let us not go into that. But that's something that is a part of our culture, that going into trance, and you see that it happens much more easily with women. There's a physiological reason for that. It's based on the parasympathetic nervous system and what it governs in men and in women. Okay. So let's get back on point here. These are the principles upon which women's roles in traditional African culture are defined. Activities that overstimulate the sympathetic, military, hunting, those requiring psychic aggressiveness, or activities that diminish the capacity of the parasympathetic functions, were discouraged in women. The toll to be paid is in the reduction of the quality of childbearing, social peace and harmony, and spiritual inspiration. The latter is to be understood from the intimate relationship between the parasympathetic and trance. As religion concerns itself with the inner realm of being, at least it ought to, right? The spiritual. Its main means, therefore, is the process of trance, okay? That's what the point of religion should be, to reach that place of trance wherein, as the book states, let me just go on and read it. It is a state in which an individual's externalizing faculties are detached from the will, which means that our looking outward and focusing on the outward things, okay, we have faculties that govern that, okay, that outward looking kind of thing is detached from the will, okay, and the will is another word he uses instead of the consciousness, okay, because for him the word consciousness and subconsciousness are overused, so he says will, okay. So you detach that externalizing faculty from the will, and you allow the focus of consciousness to be internalized, okay? Because you're not focused outwardly, you can focus inwardly. And when you do, and if you do it correctly, which is something that can be developed through trance, okay, proficiency in the state of internalized consciousness gives the individual full acquaintance with the metaphysical realm. Proficiency in this state of internalized consciousness gives the individual full acquaintance with the metaphysical realm. We can reach it once we learn how to develop our ability to focus internally, okay? On one hand, communication becomes possible with the two classes of entities dwelling therein, meaning dwelling in the metaphysical realm. Number one, the living dead, quote unquote, the living dead, quote unquote, ancestors. And number two, the spirits or natural intelligences, angels and deities, that administer the phenomena of the world. That's heavy right there. Let me reread that. If one can withdraw that externalizing aspect of his will or her will, detach from externalizing, looking outward at everything, then that allows you to now look inward. And if you develop that ability, okay, that intuitiveness, I guess is another way you can put it. Let's just reread it. Proficiency in this state of internalized consciousness gives the individual full acquaintance with the metaphysical realm, rather than we just talking about the metaphysical realm. We have full access to it, okay? And in that metaphysical realm, we are able to communicate. We are able to communicate with two classes of entities dwelling therein, in that metaphysical realm. And my people, as I'm reading this and I sound kind of hyped, is because I'm learning as I go, okay? A lot of times I read this and it doesn't dawn on me because there's so much here. It doesn't dawn on me. This is, like he said, it's a lifelong study. Okay, it's not something you can just pick the book up, read it once, and think you have it. Okay? And even if you pick the book up, read it, and you do have it, you're only having it on a intellectual level. You still got to then do the actual work. But anyway, let's go back again. On one hand, communication becomes possible with the two classes of entities dwelling therein, the living dead, which are ancestors, and the spirits or natural intelligences, which are the angels and deities, that administer the phenomena of the world. In other words, these entities are in control of the world. Okay? The phenomena of the world. They govern over the phenomena. They administer over the phenomenon of the world. The phenomena. Not phenomenon, but phenomena. All phenomena. On the other hand, first-hand knowledge of man's metaphysical vehicles, the deities of the tree of life, making up his spiritual being, and Auset is one of those deities. Wow, this is going to be a long video, my people. I hope you can hang. I hope you can hang. I might have to split this video into two parts. She's the ninth realm, the ninth sphere of the tree of life, okay? Of the human, the spirit of human beings, okay? Like I said, there's 11 levels. Nope, there's 10 levels to the spirit of man, human, okay? This is Auset level 9, okay? Okay, now where was I? Those are the deities. We call them deities. Geb was the 10th deity, which was in my previous video. I suggest that you check that video. I'm going to leave a link for it. And now I'm going up from the bottom up. So we're at 9, all set. Okay. Okay. Okay, on the other hand, let's start again. I hope I'm not moving too fast or just being repetitive here, but I want to get it in. I want us to grasp this. On one hand, communication becomes possible with the two classes of entities dwelling therein, the living dead, which are ancestors, and the spirits or natural intelligences, which are angels and deities, that administer the phenomena of the world. On the other hand, first-hand knowledge of man's metaphysical vehicles, man's metaphysical vehicles, our metaphysical vehicle. This is our metaphysical vehicle. This realm 9, from 10 all the way up to 1, are our metaphysical vehicles, okay? And a vehicle is something that you can drive to get from point A to point B, right? Okay. On the other hand, first-hand knowledge of man's metaphysical vehicles, the deities of the tree of life making up his spiritual being, and his true relation with God, the divine laws, and the world is attained. Okay? Let's read this again one more time. Okay. Proficiency in this state of internalized consciousness gives the individual full acquaintance with the metaphysical realm. On one hand, communication becomes possible with the two classes of entities dwelling therein, the living dead, ancestors, and the spirits or natural intelligences, angels and deities, that administer the phenomena of the world. On the other hand, first-hand knowledge of man's metaphysical vehicles, the deities of the tree of life making up his spiritual being, and his true relation with God, the divine laws, and the world is attained. Participation in African and Oriental rituals will reveal that women in general can enter into the states of trance with greater ease than men. Now that doesn't say that men can't enter, it just simply says that women can enter more easily. Okay? This is why societies that utilize trance working in their religious practices have a greater appreciation and respect for women and protect their capacity for prophetic inspiration by safeguarding them from such activities as soldiering, policing, etc. Okay. Wow, I was on that chapter for a minute, huh? Okay, my people, let me take a sip. We are working it out here. So, it's like a course. As I read it and try to grasp it, then I create a video and read it and try to explain it. And then as I'm trying to explain it, I actually learn more and grasp more. So, I'm learning and teaching at the same time. Okay. Auset as mother of all living things. Okay. Geb was the god of the earth, and Auset is the mother of all living things. All living things. The mother of all living things. Corresponds to the stage of conception of the will to achieve a specific goal. This conception, the uniting of the will, an image of what is to be achieved, to the life force, Ra, is achieved through mediumistic trance. Okay, let me see if I can break that down from what I was just reading earlier today. This corresponds to the stage of conception of the will. When you have an idea for something, okay, for example, me, I have an idea for a business that I want to present to the world. I have an idea for a business that I want. So that right there, that is the Auset stage of conceptualization right there. There's more that I have to do in order to make that thing a reality. More so than just a thought, just a conception, conceptualization. And it all has to do with my spirit, the levels of my spirit, which have been deities, or deitized, can you say that? Made into deities through these goddesses or that goddess. I have a feeling that that didn't go across very well. Bear with me, my people. This conception, the uniting of the will, an image of what is to be achieved, an image of what is to be achieved. The image for me is that business. I have an image of that image. I have an image of that thing that I want to achieve. Okay, I have an image in my mind's eye. Okay, and I have to unite that image in my mind's eye to the life force, to my life force, the Ra. Okay, some people call it the Kundalini. Okay, some people call it Chi. The Asian people call it Chi. There's other names for it, but it is the life force, Ra. Okay, in the Kemetic understanding. Okay, and this uniting of the idea, the conceptualization, my idea for a business, and uniting it to my life force is part of bringing that thing into reality. We always hear stories about visualizations to bring forth, the laws of attraction to bring forth, the manifest, in other words. This book breaks down how that process works. A lot of times we are told that we're supposed to trust in the law of attraction, but we have no idea how that thing works. We don't know what it is we're supposed to be doing. All they know is they tell us to just believe and speak. We don't really be knowing what it is that we're trying to do. We don't understand the steps. This right here is a breakdown of the steps. Okay. So, this conception, the uniting of the will, an image of what is to be achieved, to the life force, Ra, is achieved through mediumistic trance. Mediumistic trance. Through trance. Okay? And really that law of attraction, when they tell you to go into your visualizations, go into your prayer closet and see that thing in your mind's eye, that they're telling you to go into a trance state. That's what it is. Okay. It is interesting to note that in the Kemetic language, the word tut, means to clothe, quote unquote, or image, quote unquote, or to beget, etc. Out of ignorance. Most of the time that people declare the will to achieve a specific goal, they are in a state of externalized consciousness, which is what we were talking about at the beginning. You have to be focused inward in the spirit realm in order to unite that conceptualization with your life force, the Ra force. You can't be sitting out on the somewhere and just talking out loud to yourself even and you're focused outward. You know, you have to be in a quiet place, in a meditative state somewhere, so you can focus inwardly, so you can unite that thing to your life force. Otherwise, it's just you talking about something, and then it never comes to pass, and then people are saying, why is it that the law of attraction doesn't work? That kind of thing. So there's a level. There are levels to this thing. There is a way that is done, and we can know it. It's not something that's not knowable. And our African Kemetic ancestors of thousands of years ago understood this about the human spirit and have codified it and broken it down for us, knowledge of which was lost, almost lost. Almost lost, okay, almost lost. By the things that happened back in those, the destruction that happened back in those times, okay, by invaders that had no idea, absolutely no idea what it is or what it was they were doing. Anyway, let me not go on. Out of ignorance, most of the time that people declare the will to achieve a specific goal, they are in a state of externalized consciousness, which is considered the non-emotional state. You have to be in a state of emotionalism, or you have to be emotionally connected in order to impress that thing upon your life force, your Ra, okay, spirit, okay. So they verbalize it, and therefore they fail to impress the idea upon the life force. In other words, if you're not impressing it upon the life force, then you're not planting that seed, okay? you're not mothering. You're not putting that thing, you're not gestating that idea in your spirit, okay? This stuff is so heavy, it's so deep, it's so magnificent, it's so wise, our African. Anyway, let me not even go off. Let me not go off. It's already, I can't even see my clock. I don't know what, 15 minutes, I think. That's all. I've just begun, okay? Alright, my people. And let me thank you once again for being patient and flowing with me, and just, you don't have to try to listen to the entire thing all at once in one sitting if you don't want to. It's something that needs to be listened to again and again, and that's why I suggest and I encourage you to subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, so that you can come back and listen to this again, or do what it is that you would do so that you can get this video. Okay, I ain't tripping. Do what you gotta do so you can have the video and listen to it again and again. But share it and make sure you subscribe so you can come back, okay? Alright, so out of ignorance, most of the time that people declare the will to achieve a specific goal, for example, I want that $1 million mansion, they are in a state of externalized consciousness, the non-emotional state, or they verbalize it and it doesn't impress the idea upon the life force. You need to be in a state of meditation when you do that, okay, so that you can press it on the life force so that it can become flesh, okay, so that can manifest. That's what that is about. That's what the manifestation is. The same claim, mother of the gods and the living, is made for Heru, which is another one of the goddesses. I'll get to her later. I think she's at number I think she's number 6 or number 7. So I'll get to her later. Mother of the gods and the living is made of forehead Heru, but her function deals with the gestation of the impregnated idea, which is daydreams in which we are enjoying the objective. When we sitting back, seeing ourselves doing the thing, you sitting in your house and you see yourself inside of your mansion that you want. You're daydreaming about it. That is the Heru stage of your dream house, or whatever thing it is, the idea that you want, the thing that you want. Okay. In our discussion of Asar above, Asar is number 1. We haven't gotten to him. I'll get to him. It'll be a while before I get to him. But anyway, in our discussion of Asar above, we discussed the origin and meaning of Auset's name. We must add that her special name, quote unquote, as Kinemet Onket, also conceals the fact that she is also to be invoked through the Heka Onk. Note that G and K are interchangeable, and that's the letter at the end of that Heka Onk. And really, Onk, okay, we are all familiar with the Ankh, which means life, right? It's actually a word of power, Ankh. So even when you say the thing, you are speaking out a word of power, okay? That's just how complete our ancestors were when they broke all these things down in order to help us to impress upon the life force. So we're not just going around saying a thing and talking about something and we don't even impress it upon our life force, and it never comes into being, never comes into manifestation. There are ways that this is done, and we have to learn, and that's what this is about. so that we can actually achieve what it is that we dream. Okay, so we can actually bring it forth. And anyway, when you talk to people who have achieved things, they will tell you that they meditated and they thought about, they focused on that thing. It became real inside their spirits, which is what this is about. And then they manifest, okay? Okay, let's keep going here. In this role, she shares many of the attributes of the Dravidian white Tara goddess, who combines both the qualities of Auset and Auset. And this is where you see the correlations to other ancient black people of those times, the Dravidians, which were black people, okay, those East Indian who are, I guess they are the descendants of these ancient black people who were known as the, there's a real negative word they use for the dark skin. I can't think of it right now, but it's a put down kind of word, but those are descendants of these ancient Dravidian people. And the whole thing, white tar, which is something that has been taken and used, and it comes from the black people. But let's not go off into that. White tar goddess who combines both the qualities of Auset and Auset. This name, Kenemet Onket, which denotes the water of life and fertility, is also applied to Het Heru. As such, she corresponds to the Dravidian green Tara. Okay, we know there's the white Tara and the green Tara. The healing and fertility giving powers of this Heka, On Tang, has been proven many times in the Auset and Heru shrines of the Auset Society, which I was talking about in a previous video, in the video about Geb. There are chapters of the Auset Society all across the nation and internationally. There's one here in Oakland, and I mentioned that in my other video, and there may be one in your town. You might want to check it out if you're interested in this type of, I guess you can call it religion. It's higher than religion. Alright, so that is all set on that level. Okay, now let's get to the next part here. Now we're going to talk about Auset. Let's see. The Metu fundamental principles. Okay, there's a little bit of info on Auset here. Auset, the upliftment of the low by the high, is the principle governing the formula for spiritual development. Auset is the beginning of this process. She is the point of bringing the highest within us, the Asar, into the vehicle of our personality, the Ka, to initiate the movement toward the realization of unity within diversity and the upward movement of our spiritual evolution. And you know what? I'm pretty sure that that might be so esoteric as to be almost meaningless. But I'm going to keep moving anyway. It will all come together for those of us who can hang with it all. I'm putting it out there in video form for those of us who have the discipline to study this. And it's just so much easier with a video than it is trying to sit down and read. That was my difficulty, reading. So what I had to do was read chapters and record myself reading and then study that by listening to it over and over and over again. You guys have no idea what I've been doing. Those chapters that I read, that's not, that's just for my personal use. Okay, so anybody could do that if they wanted to for any type of thing. the fundamental principles of the Metutu. And Metutu means, it's a plural of Metu or Metut, which is the word of power. Auset, spiritual, an enlightened will. Okay? Heru, positive, knows that there, and this is sort of a breakdown. Well, let me just read it, okay? Knows that there is no such thing as will power, which is something that is spoken of in Western society over and over and over and over and over again. Will power. Shechem Ron Nefer Amen says there is no such thing as will power. There's no such thing as will power. The realization of the will, what has been decided upon, which is what I just spoke about, is carried out by the life force, Ra, as a matter of fact. That's why these two have to be married together through that internal, when you're looking internally, when you're connecting those two together, when you are in a deep meditation, so that you can impress the idea of what it is that you will, the thing you want, that thing that you want, onto your life force, the Ra, okay? The Kundalini for some people, the Chi for other people. Whatever the name is, that life force, okay? Those two have to come together, okay? So, there are two, okay? There's two things going on. There's something that puts it forth, and then there's something that takes it and runs with it. The will puts it forth. The Ra, the life force, takes it and runs with it. A good analogy that Ron Nefer Amen used was the king and the king's subjects, okay? The king doesn't have the power to do a thing, but what he does is commands his workers or whatever, his people, his underlings, his subjects, to do the thing, okay? He puts forth a decree and demands and declares that something gets done. He is the will, and the people doing the work is the power. So the king himself can't do it. The king can't build the pyramid by himself. He can command others to build it. That's the analogy that we can use within our own spirit, okay? So there is no willpower. The will does not have power. The will calls for a thing to be done, and then the workers do the thing. The raw energy does the thing, okay? So there are two aspects there. There's will and then there's power, but there is no such thing as willpower as one thing. I hope that you guys got that. It's hard, I know. I'm still trying myself. The realization of the will, what has been decided upon, is carried out by the life force, the worker. The impregnation of the life force by the will does not take place by the mere decision to achieve a goal. You can't just sit there and say, well, you know what? I want to drive my car across town, or whatever thing you say that, but then something's got to get up and go to the car, get in the car, put the key in the ignition and drive that car. Otherwise, me saying I'm fixing to drive and then I just sit here and I don't move. And then somebody will come along and say, well, you have no willpower. You see how that works? There's two entities that are involved. There is the calling forth of the thing that needs to be done, and then there is the force that actually does the thing. You know, it's broken down into tiny bits, my people. But these are the aspects of the spirit. If we understand this kind of thing, then we understand ourselves better. We won't get upset at ourselves when we say we want to do something, and then we realize we haven't gotten up and done it, and then we think that something's wrong with us. It's because we didn't get up and do the thing that we willed. I might say I want to get up and I want to drive a car, but if I don't get up and get into the car, then I'm not going to drive the car, right? And that for anything in life. Okay. The impregnation of the life force by the will, and that's what's called an impregnation. Me saying it, me calling it for it. I want to get up and drive my car. That has now been placed in my spirit, and the life force is going to push me towards getting there. It's going to push me toward that car so that I can actually drive. I hope I'm not losing you guys. I hope I'm not losing you. I might lose myself in a minute. Okay. Although we spontaneously and okay, I skipped the part. The impregnation of the life force by the will. In other words, the will putting that into the spirit. Me speaking it and then placing it in my spirit, okay? Making me now want to get up and drive that car. Does not take place by the mere decision to achieve a goal, okay? Me just saying it is not enough, okay? The life force must first be thrown into its receptive state through mediumistic trance, okay? And maybe that entire analogy wasn't a strong enough one. Although we spontaneously and involuntarily enter into this state several times a day, it is imperative to strongly induce it at will whenever you decide. You want to go into a trance state, you can do it whenever you decide, once you learn how, okay? It's not something that has to happen to you just involuntarily, just because, okay? Although we spontaneously and involuntarily enter into this state several times a day, it is imperative to strongly induce it at will in order to ensure the conception of our will. Mundane. It corresponds to your ability. Okay, what I just got through saying, there's two aspects of this, the spiritual and then the mundane. It corresponds to your ability to get the support of the power that will carry out the undertaking. On the personal side, it is your life force, Ra, and on the social side, it is the assistance of followers, workers, etc. Note that while Het Heru denotes partners, Auset denotes followers. Okay? And let me give us an example of how this is done to us without us really even knowing, because it can be done in a positive or in a negative way. And getting the life force, the emotions, the emotion, okay? The emotion of joy, the emotion, whatever emotion, that is connected to the life force. Getting that involved in it is how you set it in, how you put it in, how you bring forth the manifestation of it. And this is done to black people in the United States, at least, all of the time, and we don't know it. And I'll tell you how it's done, okay? In a negative way, how it's done. For example, the whole slavery movie thing that keeps coming again and again and again. This whole seems like a campaign that goes on and on, producing quote unquote slavery movies, okay? People, we know that this is a well thought out thing that's being done, okay? In my opinion, I could be wrong. I could be wrong, but in my opinion, what that is to impress upon our spirits that we are slaves. We're going back towards slavery. There's nothing you can do about it. Slavery is coming. And my people, I'm saying this just as an example. it's not necessarily true, is whether or not people, the general public, the masses of people take this in as reality. That's why it's so important to be in control of your own mind. And that's why I stress it continuously. But this whole slavery thing, and then what happens to impress it upon our spirits, is that we get angry. And anger is a strong emotion. That emotion makes that connection with the raw spirit, okay, with the raw energy, okay, the Ra, R-A, Ra, okay, that Kundalini energy, whatever word, that God spirit, that spirit within man, okay. For example, when you see these kinds of things that they upset you so deeply, that thing really hits deeply, doesn't it? You feel it in a real deep way. It's not something that you look at and then skip along and it slips out of your mind. That thing, it gets set in your mind and be in you. Like some kind of thing that's fallen upon you, some kind of spirit. That's how it's impressed in you. That's how it works. These people who do this know what they're doing. In my view, I think that what they're trying to do is make people, especially black people, or maybe not even so much black people as white people, believe and automatically, even without realizing it, just automatically come to the conclusion in their mind without even a rational kind of thing happening. Just automatically they go to slave when they think about black people. Just slave, automatic. Because they keep impressing the spirits of people with these slave movies. And the movie industry is a very powerful industry. Okay? And a lot of times they can control people. Okay? For generations. For generations and generations. Based on the movies that they put out and the messages and what it is that they're trying to accomplish. Movies are not just movies for the sake of being movies. This is social engineering, these movies, okay? There's no coincidence that slave movies just keep coming again and again. Now there's the Nat Turner slave movie. I have no intentions of seeing that movie. I don't care who produced it. I don't care if black people produced it. Okay, because yet again another slave movie. Okay, Nat Turner was executed, wasn't he? He did what he did, but he was killed in the end. I've already determined what this whole thing is all about. For those black people who think they're gonna escape or be big and bad and bold, okay, going to be killed. It just keeps happening again and again. For those of us who vibe on that kind of a low level, those of us who don't, this stuff means nothing. This is just my opinion. I accept that it's very possible that I'm wrong and just my mind is overacting, but that, if it's true or not true, is how that is impressed upon the raw spirit of man. It's through the emotions. And black people are going to be deeply emotional about slavery, no matter what. And that's why they keep bringing forth these slave movies, in my opinion. But anyway, my people, oh my goodness. This video is going to be ridiculously long. Sorry about that, my people. And now I'm going to speak to the shaping factors of failure. Okay? We just got through talking about the shaping factors in a positive way. For Auset, an unenlightened individual, a Heru negative. Heru is the center of, Heru is number 5 in the tree of life. He is the hero. Heru is the hero. Okay? An unenlightened individual, Heru negative, believes, is ignorant of the fact that spontaneously and involuntarily he daily goes through mild trances, which unite his will to the conceiving part of the spirit. He is therefore unaware of the fact that he is daily conceiving and reinforcing all sorts of intentions, many of which are contradictory and in conflict with his will and destiny. He is unaware that his failure to remember what he must do to carry out his will is an indication that he needs to reinforce the impregnation of his will upon his spirit through repeated inductions of mediumistic trance. It is important to realize that the act of remembering what we must do and the principles we must observe is an involuntary reflex. We cannot will to remember at a specific moment. It must be automatically thrown into our awareness by the life force. And that's so true. I mean, lots of times when I'm forgetting something and it just doesn't come. It doesn't come just because I want it to come. It comes when the life force brings it. And that's a trip. The life force might bring it at some point in time that's past the point in time when I wanted to remember. Remembering is not necessarily something that comes just because we want it to come. But anyway, it's very important, okay? You have to be knowledgeable about that, and that's an unenlightened individual is ignorant of the fact that spontaneously and involuntarily he daily goes through mild trances. Yeah, I've been reading some people who say they're driving, they got home in their car and they don't even remember how they did it. Somebody was in a deep trance. When they're driving, they get home safely without crashing. They pull up, then they come out of the trance and like, I don't remember driving here. I've seen that more than once. That has happened to more than a few people that I happen to be connected with on Facebook. I've read that a couple of times. And it happens to me all the time. I'll be getting ready for work and putting things in my purse and then I forget that I even did it. Oh, and I'm like, wait a minute, did I put my keys in? The keys are right there in there. I'm like, I don't remember doing it. I don't remember putting my keys in here, but they're there. Those are what you call trances, where your mind is you're now internally focused, and the things you do on the external are just automatic. You just do them automatically, and that's something that this book talks about at a different point in time. Okay, so the tree of life as a guide to planning. Auset. Once it is clear what must be done at each step and how you will begin work on the project. The work at this stage involves mediumistic trance meditation on each process of undertaking. Depending on the nature of your undertaking, you may have to proceed the work with the 6 stages of meditation. So, anything that you want to do in life, basically, you need to sit down and meditate to impress that thing upon your spirit in a way that helps you to do it in a correct way. This is the life that created the Auset that were our ancestors out there creating pyramids, okay? Building the pyramids, okay? It's this kind of power, this kind of ability, to do this is what created such great works. We don't know how in the world they did it. All we know is that we're proud that they did and that they were black. But can we get that kind of a way of being back for ourselves in this day and age? Okay, so now I want to read the Metu Neter, okay? Metu Neter. For Auset, Kemetic, Auset, Canaanite, Gabriel, Kabbalistical, Yesod, Yoruba, Yemaya, Indus Kush, Dumavati, Sphere Ninth, Planet Moon, Day, Monday. Color, sea blue. Let's do this so we can actually look at her. Let's do it like this. Okay. Sea blue is the color. The number is 7. Now don't get this number here. This is the number that's represented on a tree of life. And then the number 7 is her personal number. Okay. 2 different numbers. Gems, pearls, and moonstone. Time of year. Sidereal full moon in Cancer. Esoteric herbalism. Baths. Spearmint, lettuce, wild lettuce, and purslane. Oils. Spearmint and jasmine. Incense. Spearmint and jasmine. Hekau, meaning word of power. Mantras, words of power. The spiritual word is Dum Vam or Dum Vam. And the planetary words are Ong, Shrang, Shring, Shram. Okay? Don't be thrown off by those words. Those are words of power. They have a resonance to them. It's not about what the words mean. It's about the resonance of the word. Spiritual direction, east. Mundane direction, northwest. Personality, portfolio. Personality traits. Through its action on the Kayabit, the animal spirit, the cold and moist energy of the moon has the following effects on the personality. Sphere 9. Emotional traits, positive, caring, motherliness, conservative, benevolent, accommodating, sweet-mannered, timorous, fearful, comfort-loving, wants security, and to be free of the cares and difficulties of life. Negative, indolent, daydreaming, uncaring, vacillating, neglectful, careless, impressionable, gullible, fearful, idle, hating work, discontented, inclined to intoxicants, living beggarly, unsteadfast. Mental traits: mediumistic trance, imitation, reflection. Social correspondences, careers, functions, mother, wife, domestic life, hereditary factors, midwives, nurses, sailors, vagabonds, the masses, teachers of children, midwives, farmers, servants, menial employment, millers, dealers, and workers with liquids. Spiritual portfolio: devotion, humility, following, mediumistic trance, receptivity, indiscriminate imitation. Key phrases: catering to the emotions, preferences, love of ease, negligent, careless, indolent, receptivity, impressionability, gullibility, by following, by being humble, caring, nurturing, sympathetic, indulgent, compassionate, relaxed, peaceful, through mediumistic trance. Biological correspondences. Physiology: the cold and moist energy of the moon is the basis of the well-being of the reproductive, ovaries, uterus, digestive, assimilative, autonomous nervous systems. Pathology: infertility, menstrual problems, digestive problems, catarrhal condition, chlorosis, anemia, edema, dropsy. Comedic therapeutics: alterative, diuretic, nutrient. Chinese medicine: stomach system, digestate, accumulation patterns, disease patterns of blood, blood vacuity, etc., phlegm, disease patterns. Spiritual keynotes: following, humility, caring. Underlying principles: positive. By devoting ourselves to realizing our true self, the indwelling intelligence, we come to realize that the true self in all beings is none other than the Supreme Being. Thus, we elevate our devotion to uplifting our character and the caring for others to the highest levels of spirituality. Negative. The ignorance of the divinity of inner being, constituting our true self and that of others, degenerates our caring for ourselves and others into permissiveness, thus undermining our spiritual development. Keynotes: positive. Devotion to spiritual development. Negative. Permissiveness, loving of creature comforts, neglectful, fearful. Now, the spiritual counsel for an Auset card. Whenever you receive an Auset reading, you are being reminded that every emotional experience is a mediumistic trance induction, which creates or reinforces a conditioning. I'm going to reread that. Whenever you receive an Auset reading, you are being reminded that every emotional experience is a mediumistic trance induction, which creates or reinforces a conditioning. I can't state how important it is for us not to allow our emotions to be twisted out of all kinds of shape by watching certain things on social media. They are manipulating you to the highest degree. Okay? You ought never to let your emotions be a part of anything that's on that social media unless you choose. Okay? Unless you choose. Okay? That it is beneficial to your life, your goals, because what you're doing with these emotional things is putting yourself in a mediumistic trance, which then impresses upon your life force that very thing that why do I keep using that word? That tweaked your emotions in the first place. So if your emotions are being tweaked, make sure that it is what it is you want, okay? Because you are impressing it on your spirit. Okay. From another perspective, you may be reminded that as Auset is the high point through which you express your devotion to things, emotional identification, it reveals to you what you truly worship. Is Auset the likeness of God in which you are made, or let me start again. Is Auset the likeness of God in which you are made, what you identify with, care most for, or is your person the complex of conditioned thought and emotional reactions to situations that you identify with? Do you know which God you worship? Okay, my people, I'm just about done. Whew, this was something. One more thing. The meanings of the combined Metu. This I'm going to do in a separate video because it's quite involved, okay? Because as we see, there are 5 cards and their interactions with each. Like for Auset, this particular Auset card, which is Hetep, in connection with maybe an Auset card, Hetep, the Auset card 2 Ma'at, the Auset card 2 Chas, the Auset card Tim Ma'at, the Auset card Tim Chas, and then the same thing with the next card, the Geb card, the same thing with the next card, the Herukuti, the Het Heru, the Seker, the Sebek card, the Tehuti card. So you can see how that will go. But when we do all of that, those are the different cards and their connections and the reading. So once I do that, then you're going to know how to do an actual divination, an actual reading with these cards. Okay? So I'm not going to break down what it is completely, but let me do a few for Auset. Let's do Auset Amen, which is the God card. Auset / Amen. Auset positive, Amen positive. Devotion to realizing self with a capital S. Consistent perseverance in maintaining detachment from one's emotional and sensual conditions. Auset positive, Amen negative. This is the reading. Successful trance work will be wasted due to attachment and receptivity to one's conditioned behavioral patterns. Auset negative, Amen positive. Indecisiveness, changeability, impressionability, sensitivity, emotionality, moodiness will be corrected by consistent perseverance in maintaining detachment from one's emotional and sensual conditionings. And Auset negative, Amen negative. Indecisiveness, changeability, impressionability, sensitivity, emotionality, moodiness is exacerbated by attachment and receptivity to one's conditioned behavioral patterns. Negative mediumism. Then we go to Auset Asar. Then we go to Auset Tahuti, Auset Seker. So as you can see, I won't be able to go through all of those. It's too much. This video is already probably an hour long. I can't see the clock. Alright. Then there are the suits. Okay, and I did that in the other video, but I'm going to do it again in this video. Okay. Hetep. This is Hetep. The 4 circles on the upper left hand corner of the card are all blank. It is Hetep, and it represents the greatest, and this is for the reading, actual divination reading. It represents the greatest likelihood of success. You could still fail, however. Let me hold it like this. You can still fail, however, as it does not predict success without effort. It is like being shackled with a light chain that can easily be slipped off. But you must make the effort. This is why you must always read both the positive and the negative correspondences of a Metu. Hetep does not mean the absence of negativity. It means that it is relatively easy to transcend it. Whether you are aware of it or not, it means that the way is open for heaven, quote unquote, the indwelling intelligence to assist you through the faculties represented by the deity of the reading. I cannot overemphasize the need to take note of the fact that the step of considering the suit comes after the study of the correspondences of the cards and its comparison with the significator of the situation. In the above example, we can see the possible catastrophic results that would occur if prior to step 5, the person concluded that because the Auset card was Hetep, the reading presaged success in the undertaking. Placed in the proper perspective, it indicates that the individual is likely to succeed as a guard by adapting a Sebek/Auset strategy to the situation. We would be more comfortable, however, for the safety of the guard and the property guarded, if the guard had received a Herukuti Hetep or a Herukuti Tuma'at, etc. Okay, and that was they used a general example of someone wanting to get a reading to determine whether or not they should take a job as a guard, and going through all the cards to break down if you got this particular card, Hetep Auset, then this is what it says about that. They're saying that it's better to get a Herukuti, which is more of a a Martian kind of force, a forcefulness, Shango kind of force. Herukuti, I think, corresponds to Shango anyway, especially for something like a guard, where you have to have that kind of energy anyway. All right, so 2 Ma'at. This is 2 Ma'at. 1 filled in out of 4. It's considered positive. Okay. 2 Ma'at. It means that the way is opening for the influence of the indwelling intelligence to assist you in your undertaking. Your choice to try to get that job or whatever it is. You must focus on living, not just knowing the truths and virtues associated with the deity of the reading, which is Auset. Auset is this deity, okay? Your meditations and rituals must focus on what must be done in order to carry out the counsel of the oracle. And so we see with such spiritual cultivation as this, there's a lot of discipline that is necessary. Okay, you have to be disciplined to do all of this. You have to be focused, disciplined, willing, open, and every other thing. Okay. All right, so we have 2. Oh yeah, that's right. 2 Tchas. 2 T-U Tchas. T-C-H-A-A-S, which is positive as well. It means that the way is opening for the influence. The way is opening for the influence of the indwelling intelligence to assist you in your undertaking. You must focus on increasing your stock of information regarding the situation through study and meditation. You must also meditate on impressing these ideas upon your spirit, the first level of the meditation process, which I have spoken about previously, earlier in this video. Okay, so that's 2 Tchas, positive, 2 dots filled in. Okay. Then you have 10 Tchas, 3 dots filled in, okay, out of the 4, and it is negative. It means that the way is closing to the indwelling intelligence to assist you in your undertaking due to your vulnerability to the wrong beliefs denoted by the card. Okay, you have issues with your Auset aspect of your spirit. Okay, maybe you don't know how to meditate, you don't know how to impress your spirit. Then we have the last card. All 4 of the little circles on the upper left hand corner are filled in, and that is Tem Ma'at. Means that the way is closed to the indwelling intelligence to assist you. Or did I get these cards mixed up? I hope not. Tem Ma'at means that the way is closed to the indwelling intelligence to assist you in your undertaking due to your vulnerability to the wrong beliefs and emotions denoted by the card. It is obvious that the lowest suits indicate that there is more work to be done, more obstructions to be overcome, and a greater chance of failing. In most cases, it is advisable to avoid undertakings when the 2 latter suits are drawn. If they must be done, a great deal of care, meditation, and study must be observed. So if you had a card like this pulled and you feel that you must still go ahead with your undertaking, you have to be super extra careful, prayerful, meditative, focused, because there's a great chance that it's going to fail. Okay, and so my people, that is the reading for Auset for now. My goodness, thank you all for hanging with this. I know it's over an hour. Oh my god, an hour and a half. I can see the numbers. An hour and a half. Are you serious? Yes, I am. Hour and a half long video. But it is Sphere 9 The ninth realm of the tree of life, Auset. Okay? Auset. The god, what was it? The goddess of all living things, I think is what it was. All living things. That aspect of the spirit, okay? The spirit of man, okay? Thank you all. I am worn out, pretty much, my people. Thank you all for listening. I really deeply appreciate that you, if you have hung in, if you have watched this in one in one sitting, you are the bomb diggity right about here, okay? But it's all right to watch it in numerous sittings, okay? And it's probably better to do it that way. That way you can focus in more. Thank you once again for being with me. The reason you are here, of course you already know, but I'm going to repeat it. You are a leader. And leaders have to know what they're doing when they lead. They have to understand themselves. They have to be well aware of self. And our ancestors have left us a very detailed system of spiritual cultivation through this Metu Neter, which was brought back into modern times through our brother Shechem or Shechem, Ra-Nefer Amen, a great oracle himself. He's written so many books it just doesn't even make sense, okay? Well, it does. It makes perfect sense, okay? And this, he claims, being brought back from the Akashic records by him. This book written in 1990, okay? And I think there's 7 volumes of the Metu Neter, in addition to many other books that he has written, all focused on this system of spiritual cultivation, a gift left to us by our African ancestors thousands, millennia ago, okay? Many thousands of years ago. And we are blessed by the Most High, by the ancestors, to have access once again. Okay, sometimes people are chosen for great works, and our brother Shechem or Shechem, Ra-Nefer Amen, was that person chosen, okay, to bring forth this knowledge to us in this time. We are living in a blessed, powerful time, okay? It may look confusing and all that right now, but my people, be blessed, okay? Be empowered, okay? Because you have answers. You have a very beautiful system of spiritual cultivation. Look at the gorgeousness of that goddess, okay? She is a personification of a particular aspect of our spirit, okay? Just the fact of her beauty touches upon our emotions, which puts us into a slight mediumistic trance, which then impresses this aspect of our spirit upon our own spirits, okay? It just involves, it revolves and involves around itself. That's the pure genius of our ancestors for us. Okay, my people, thanks again for watching. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Especially subscribe so that you can be informed when I do the next card, which is number 8, which I believe is it Heru? Which is number 8? Where are those cards? I don't have the cards next to me. Oh, hold on one second. I'll tell you, people. I will tell you what it is right now. Sebek. Sebek. The dog-headed man, okay? The jackal-headed man. Number 8. Okay? Sebek. Interesting, too, in this card deck, some of them are yellow and some of them are red. There's bound to be a reason for that. This is the only one where it's like that, where there's 2 colors. I don't know if that's a typo or meant to be done that way. But anyway, my people, peace and love to you. You people rock, all right, as they say. You are the bomb diggity. Get it, okay? Get it in, all right? You know what you're doing. Peace and blessings.